Hello, good afternoon. You're welcome to the Midday Brief here on Joy News on Multi TV. With me, Acquah Smartabe. Up in the next one, some NPP youth are saying they are going to petition former President Kufuor so that he does not attend the election of President John Mahama on January 7. Renowned lawyer and former president of the Ghana Bar Association, Samuel Okudzeto, says that some Ghanaians are confusing the functions of the executive and legislative arm of government. President John Mahama joins security forces on a peace march this morning and tasked them to put the interest of the state ahead. And we'll catch up with the newly elected MPs who are registering in Parliament. Today happens to be the final day. We'll get some update on that. And then also we'll have some wellness and news from international sports and showbiz brief here on the Midday News. Now let's settle for the details of the stories. Renowned lawyer and former president of the Ghana Bar Association, Samuel Okudzeto, says Ghanaians have confused the exact functions and powers of the executive and legislative arms of government as being one institution. According to him, this is affecting the governance system of the country. Speaking exclusive on Joy News' current affairs program, PM Express, Mr. Okudzeto was, however, hopeful the situation can change if government will eventually desist from appointing most of its ministers from Parliament.
This political scene for many years now, and I realize that we have confused the executive and the legislature as being one institution. But that is not what it is meant to be. They are meant to be two separate institutions. And they Tocqueville.
But are they supposed to be independent of each other?
Well, exactly. That is why the whole issue is. They're supposed to be what we call checks and balances. Is meant to be, they mean to be checks and balances, not one controlling the other. What we are doing is that we have turned it upside down. The president, his party is there, and therefore he can do everything he likes because the party will kowtow his way. But that is not the intention, original intention.
Do you think that we'll ever get there where Parliament will become an objective check on the executive?
We must get there. The day we will stop having our MPs being made ministers of state, then they will begin to appreciate where their power, they will exert that power. I am praying that that day will come before I die.
And what do we need in order to make sure this happens?
You need to have a change whereby the president goes to appoint most of his ministers from Parliament.
It also touched on the current court issues by the NPP, which is challenging the presidential and parliamentary results of the just-ended December 7 polls, explaining that the opposition party has every right to challenge the results. He, however, clarified that under the current constitution of Ghana, the president-elect John Dramani Mahama can be sworn in as president of Ghana until the Supreme Court says otherwise.
There is nothing preventing John Dramani Mahama from being sworn in on the 7th of January as president. There's nothing here which says that he cannot be sworn in. So he can be sworn in because the Constitution of Ghana does not provide for a vacuum. There cannot be a period where there's presidency. There's always a president. Because the interesting thing for us to appreciate is that in the absence of the president, it's the vice president who acts as president. But in this particular instance, the president is being elected with the vice president.
Their fortunes are tied together.
Exactly. And in the absence of the vice president, it's the speaker who acts. But the speaker's term comes to an end also.
Well, the ace lawyer also shared his thoughts on the just-ended polls about whether it was free and fair, and he added that nobody should discount the fact that the December polls went on smoothly without malpractices.
Insisted on voter IDs, and then now we insisted on what do we call it?
The
biometric verification. Why were they all this necessary? Why did we ask for them if everything was smooth and there was no problem? It's because we knew that problems had arisen, where people had gone to vote for election who were not on the register, and sometimes in connivance with electoral officers. I have seen situations whereby I was at the police station and I saw somebody who was going around voting. She goes around and vote, she goes around and vote. And when I asked the electoral officer whether that person, what was doing was right, you know what the lady who was doing the voting said? This is the last one.
Really?
In my presence, not Acquah, in my presence. We see situations whereby the electoral officer at the close of the day took a whole booklet, applied his own thumbprint at the back of it, cut the whole book and was putting it inside the box, and somebody held his hand. Someone is complaining that there had been more practice at the election. I think we ought to be careful the way we take it. You know, in Egypt, the election that was just held, they had a process whereby petitions are presented to the Electoral Commission, and the Electoral Commission does not announce the result until it has gone through the petitions.
We should have a similar thing here?
In fact, if we're doing that, it would have been a healthy idea, because otherwise the Electoral Commission is behaving as if nothing is going wrong. But I'm saying that you, the Electoral Commissioners, stations, those who are appointing to be electoral officers,
you think Afarijan should wake up and smell the coffee? Because a lot of things go on.
That is one
blind side.
In fact, that was one of the reasons why I'm saying that this matter is good if there is sufficient evidence for it to be tested, even if the case is not won. I think it is good, again, for the process, for the Electoral Commission to appreciate that it is not a flawless institution. That there is a lot of individuals that they have employed who are themselves corrupt, and that there are a lot of things that goes wrong in the electoral process, which does not show eventually that this is the will of the people.
Now, some members of the opposition New Patriotic Party's youth wing, the Young Patriots, have vowed to prevent former President John Agyekum Kufuor from attending the inauguration of John Dramani Mahama as President of Ghana on January 7, 2013. The youth are set to march to the Airport West residence of the former president today, Thursday, January 3, to register their disapproval at Mr. Kufuor's decision to break ranks with the NPP, which is boycotting the ceremony. The office of the former president, however, has indicated that he would attend the inauguration because he is a statesman and should therefore rise above political party affairs. Meanwhile, the National Council of the NPP on Wednesday reaffirmed its decision not to accept the results of the December 7 polls and backed the petition filed by the party's presidential candidate for last month's elections, Nana Akufo-Addo, his running mate Dr. Mamadou Bawumia, and the NPP's national chairman, Jake Obeche-Bilamte, at the Supreme Court. The petition is challenging the validity of the results of the 2012 presidential election declared by the chairman of the Electoral Commission, Dr. Kwejo Afarijan, on December 9, 2012. The council has directed party members to boycott the planned January 7 inauguration of John Dramani Mahama and Pakwesi Emisa Arthur as President and Vice President of the Republic, respectively. This decision is binding on all members of the NPP, including its members of Parliament. An official statement from the council said it has taken the decision, quote, in order to underline the critical principle of any democracy that the results of an election should reflect the voice of the majority of voters, not the voice of those who count, collate, or declare the results, unquote. We are now joined on the line by Hobson Adoya, a senior member of the Young Patriots, to give us an insight into their petition. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Adoya, and thanks for joining us on the Midday Brief.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Okay, first of all, I just want to find out, are you at the former president's residence already?
Yes, we are here. We are about to meet him.
You haven't met him yet?
Yeah, we are about to meet him.
Okay, but the former president's office has indicated clearly that he will be attending the inauguration as a statesman. Why do you seem to have a problem with that?
Yeah, we disagree with him. That's why we are here to see him. You know, he's a member of the National Council. And this decision by not accepting the results is not a decision of Acquah. It's a decision of the National Council, which the former president is a member or is part. So why then you say you are going to attend it illegal? But all our calculations show that Nana Akufo-Addo is the president-elect. That's why we are contesting.
Exactly. So you are contesting the issue in court, but the procedures and processes for swearing in the president are still ongoing anyway. And former President Kufuor himself has been the head of state of this country, and as a statesman, his office thinks it is just appropriate for him to be there.
So through what means did he become a statesman? Through what means? Is it not LPP ticket? So if the National Council of the Patriotic Party, which were passed, took a decision that no LPP member should be there, including parliamentarians, once then to you subtract myself.
But I do not think he's honoring the invitation because he is an MPP person or a member of the National Council of the MPP. He was invited and is honoring in his position as a former president of Ghana.
So can you tell me that he became the president as an independent president or what? He's still a member of the New Patriotic Party. That's why the youth wing of the New Patriotic Party are saying that we disagree with him. So we are coming to plead with him. We are coming to persuade him to attending the inauguration. But if he still ways to go, then we have no means than to put him under house arrest. Supporters of MPP will come all over the country. Look, people were on their way from Tamale. We have to stop them that we are coming to dialogue with him. So they should wait. If he doesn't agree to our petition, then it means that on Monday by 3 a.m., the whole of this place will be full to its capacity and will not get a chance to go out of the house. Finish the inauguration.
It is indeed true that he won the elections and became president on the ticket of the MPP, but as an individual, doesn't he have the right to decide which invitations to honor or not?
Once we have you as our senior officer, our advisor, the face of the party will not allow that.
But so how would you respond to those who are saying, who would probably say that you are being petty about this whole thing and that the former president has risen above politics and is performing his duties as...
Nobody can tell us that what we are doing is pertinent. No, I don't agree to that. He is a statesman because of... I don't know if MPP will he be a president? No. And he's still a member of the party. Okay. So we say that he's not going on the 7th because Young Patriots is demonstrating on the 8th against this illegality, mass irregularities of our elections. We are demonstrating against it. So why should you then go? So we are saying that we are coming to dialogue with him. If he agrees that he will not go, we'll praise him, we'll thank him. If he decides to go, sir, we are going to put him under house arrest. That one, we are not going to make the way. We'll make sure we do that. And we will release him after the inauguration of the president.
But that won't be unfair.
It will not be unfair. The National Council's decision, we are making sure we implement the decision.
Okay. Mr. Adoye, we'll leave it here for now. And as you said, you are just about to meet the president, the former president. We'll get back to you after the meeting, and then we'll find out how the meeting ended. Okay, thank you very much. That was Hobson Adoye. He is a senior member of the Young Patriots, the youth wing of the opposition New Patriotic Party. And they are actually saying that they will put former President Kufuor under house arrest should he refuse to oblige to their petition or their call on him to boycott the inauguration of President John Mahama. But let's move along. And today, Thursday, January 3, 2013, marks the end of registration for new members of Parliament. As the nation prepares to inaugurate its 6th Parliament and swear in the President-elect John Mahama. The one-week exercise was aimed at collating data of members of the new Parliament and to facilitate the orientation of new members.
According to the Parliament's Public Affairs Director, Jones Kublenu, members of Parliament who are unable to register would have to notify the House beforehand. The House is expected to host President Mahama as he delivers the last State of the Nation's address on Friday, January 4, 2013. All 274 MPs-elect are expected to complete the process, which is the first phase of a detailed plan to collect primary data from all the men and women who will form the next Parliament. Personal details such as dates of birth, profession, the constituency to be represented, and educational background of the various MPs-elect will be compiled during the registration process. The number of MPs, however, falls short of one more MP following the death of the Volta Regional Minister and MP-elect for the Buem constituency, Henry Ford Camel. The 274 members of parliament include 97 new entrants and 177 from the current parliament. The National Democratic Congress would dominate the House with 148 seats, while the opposition MPP holds 122 seats. 4 independent MPs are expected to join the House, with 1 member from the People's National Convention.
Okay, so now let's cross over to Parliament where my colleague Imano Nyayante is on the line to give us an update on what's happening. Good afternoon to you, Ima, and thanks for joining us on the Midday Brief.
Good afternoon, Smash, and welcome.
Okay, so bring us up to speed. What's happening in the House right now?
Well, the House has resumed today, and currently they are giving statement on giving tribute to the late Ford Camel. That's the usual thing they do at this moment. At the moment, they are reading tribute.
Okay, but their registration ends today. Have all the MPs been able to register?
Well, actually, I can tell you about 257 MPs have been able to put their names on the register. Notable among them is Baba Jamal, who just came this morning, and then the majority leader, Acquah, who also registered early this morning. Those that are supposed to, or those that are left to come in and register, include the minority leader, Oseki Metabusu, who is in the chamber at the moment and has promised to get here as and when he gets the opportunity. But so far, 257 people have been able to put their names on the register.
So the rest, what's happening? How come they haven't been able to register yet? Is it that they are facing any peculiar challenges, or they just haven't reported to the House yet?
Well, they haven't reported to the House yet. So far, there hasn't been any challenge at all whatsoever. The minor challenges were the social security numbers, passport numbers, and all that. And with that, most of them did not know, so they did not come with their passports to the numbers put on the data. But they later called their rooms and then they were giving the numbers. And so if there hasn't been any major challenge whatsoever, those that have not been able to put their names on the register are not yet in the chamber yet.
But is it likely that there's going to be an extension for them should they not be able to finish the registration process today?
Well, according to the Public Affairs Director, Jones Kuplenu, those that are unable to register today must inform the House. It must give the House a prior notice, and so that other provisions will be made for them before tomorrow. Other than that, they will not be able to enter the chamber.
And we know the President will be addressing, he'll be giving his State of the Nation's address to Parliament. How is the House preparing to receive the State of the Nation's address?
Well, I can tell you from the Public Affairs Director's own statement to me in an interview, he says about 98% of the preparation is over. And actually, when you see around, you can see that everything is being put in place. And the only place that is left a bit is in the building of the Parliament offices. They are saying that for that project is supposed to be ending around March. And so that particular project is still ongoing. But the rest of it, the surroundings and the dress rehearsal, the last dress rehearsal for tomorrow's event was conducted this morning. And so I can say that everything is in place. It's about 98% complete.
Okay, and have you spoken to any MPs, and what are their expectations of the President's State of the Nation's address? Because this time it will be by President John Dramani Mahama.
Yeah, I have spoken to a number of them, and they all seem to be looking for projects that were listed out in the previous government. Some of them are saying that, some of them are expecting that the President will give a statement or will read out a statement that will bring unity to the people of Ghana, considering the tension surrounding the recent NPP's lawsuit and all that. Others are also looking out for the president to just mention the major achievements of the ADC tenure in this past government, and to give assurance to the people as to what he intends projecting or what he intends doing in the next 10 days. And so actually they are expecting not what we all or what we all expect them to do, what usually goes on, expecting that the president mentions the major achievements and then bring unity to the people of this country.
Okay, many thanks to you, Emmanuel Niayi Ante. He is our parliamentary correspondent and was bringing us up to speed with events happening on the floor of Parliament, as well as the preparations the House is making towards receiving the president when he gives his last State of the Nation's address. But we'll take a quick breather here. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Midday Brief here on the Joy News channel on Multi TV. Now, 4 Ghanaians recently released from captivity by Somali pirates have returned home. The hostages Joel Ahiabla, Edward Kofi Asare, Francis Kumsin Sr. and Prince Acquah were aboard the MV Iceberg 1 vessel, which was captured off the Somali coast in March 2010. They arrived home on Monday. Joy News caught up with them for an exclusive interview.
Yes, on the March 29th, as we were on our route from Aden to Dubai, we were hijacked by Somalia pirates at the coast of Aden. The pirates came on board exactly around 7:45 a.m. but the shooting started around 7:30 a.m. That was what happened. In fact, my spirit was really down. I will tell you that I could not sleep even in my cabin. I had to go and sleep with Prince, and me and the second engineer, we slept there because it was the darkest moment of our life. Yes, what happened was at that morning I was about to take my breakfast with the chief officer when we heard a gunshot followed by emergency alarm. And what happened? So when the gunshot, in fact, my heart trembled all of a sudden, and I realized that this was pirates. And how are we going to handle the situation? So there was shooting, and we were in opposite with the pirates. The ship claimed they were trying to attack them first, but because they were having armed men on board, they could not. So they turned onto us, and the ship tried to help us, but we were having low speed because our ship was old, and they came to our starboard side, in which the ship cannot shoot from there. So in fact they climbed from there amidst gunfire, and all of us have to hide ourselves until they came on board, and they found their means and got to the bridge. Afterwards, then we were all called to the bridge.
Where was it? Where was the ship? On the sea?
On the sea,
where,
yes.
Which country were you?
Yes, we just left Yemen, Aden, okay, just a day before. So we were just at the coast of Yemen. Yes.
And so when they came on board, what happened?
When they came on board, they asked us to change our course from Dubai and go to Somalia, Garad. So we now have a new order on board, and we just have to obey. So the captain have to just change the course, and we began heading towards Somalia.
And what happened?
We came to Somalia. Along the way, a warship came and asked if we needed assistance. In that situation, somebody who has been taken hostage and hijacked, you ask that, do you need assistance? What will the response be? The pirates told the captain to tell the warship to go away 20 nautical miles, and in fact the warship obeyed and went away. It was a surprise to us. They escorted us and made sure that we came and dropped anchor at Somalia. After that they left, and we have been there for months, and when we arrived, they brought a surveyor, pirate surveyor, who came and took the cargo, and then they gave a ransom starting from $10 million, and this was communicated to the owner, who responded not in a positive way. In fact, it has been a very terrible experience which we had all these 3 years, almost.
3 years?
Yes, almost 3 years. In fact, initially, some of them, before they came out with the figure, they were saying we were going to pay about 500,000 and go away. Wow, we said that 500,000 is a lot of money. But when finally they came out with $10 million, we were all nodding, we were shaking our head because we know how our owner is.
Well, I felt bad because the Somalians, the way they were treating us, well, the perception I have for them is very bad. But when we came out, I really, well, most of our colleagues did not change. I myself did not change the perception I had, because this Kenyan government is, they have a, how do you call it, a refugee camp in Kenya, and it is my intention to talk because they shouldn't receive these Somalians there, because the treatment being given to us is beyond human expectation.
So my colleague said a lot. It is rare true, but if sometimes you said it, somebody will say it is not true unless you see it in your own eye. Why they have said it, it is true. So my advice I will give, or all praising I will give to all Ghanaians. Thank all Ghanaian Christians. We heard it, that they went for fasting, praying, and our government. So we thank all Ghanaians. That the short things I will say to all Ghanaians, that we thank all. But
you were praying?
Well, truly harrowing experiences they've gone through over there for almost 3 years, but we thank God that they're home, because what they went through, we'll only see them in Hollywood movies, but they have lived it. This was no fiction at all. But now let's come back home and we'll cross over again now, but this time round to the Independence Square, where our reporter Yafusua Jemfi is at the ground to check up on preparations for the swearing in of President-elect John Dramani Mahama. Hello, good afternoon to you, Ya, and thanks for joining us on the Midday Brief.
Yeah.
Hello, Ya.
Hello, Smart.
Yes, good afternoon to you.
Hello.
Hello, Ya, can you hear me? If you can hear me, good afternoon.
Smart, good afternoon.
Okay, so how is the Independence Square looking like? Have preparations started?
Hello, Smart.
Yeah, I'm asking, how is the Independence Square looking like right now?
Okay, well, preparations are still underway for the inauguration ceremony that will come up on Monday. And then structures are being refurbished, paintings are ongoing, Mountain of the Day, swearing-in platform. And then I also left the military were there this morning to rehearse. And then we also met some security officers at the grounds checking the security issues as well. And we also spoke to the chairman of the grounds committee, that is Commodore Steve Obimpe, who stated that they started the operations about 5 days ago, and then the place is supposed to be set by Saturday. So that is what we have on the ground now.
Okay, earlier when I was coming into the office, at least I saw some parts of the streets being whitewashed, as we often do when we have important ceremonies coming up. Apart from the Independence Square proper, the area in front of it and the ministries, have you seen any such activities going on in preparation for?
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, Smart, I just went to the Independent grounds, and I think that's all I saw for now. But I think preparations are still underway to get the place there. Yeah.
Okay, were you able to catch a glimpse of what the security personnel will be doing since they had their dress rehearsal this morning?
No, when we got there, they had finished their rehearsal, so we couldn't get anything much on that. But just on the decorations, that was what we got.
Okay, all right, we'll leave it there. Yeah, thank you so much for that update from the Independence Square. We'll take another quick break, and when we return, Jennifer Jena Sante, or JJ as I like to call her, will be in with some wellness and briefs from across the world. Okay, so JJ is in the studio with me, and she has some wellness tips as well as some briefs from across the world. Hello, JJ.
Hello, Smart.
How you doing?
Do something for you.
I knew that was coming.
I didn't get to say it the last time, so I just had to say it today.
Okay, well, I do intend to do something. Hopefully we can all do something about foot rot. And that's what we're talking about in Wellness today.
Okay, take it on.
Okay. So athlete's foot or foot rot or tinea pedis is what it's called. And it's a fungal infection of the skin that causes flaking, scaling, and itching in the affected areas. Now, although the condition typically affects the feet, it can infect or spread to other parts of the body, including the groin and areas of the skin that are kept hot and moist. We have more about that and how to treat it in our Wellness Update.
We walk, run, stand and exercise with the foot. It is such an active part of our bodies that if the necessary attention and care it deserves is not given to it, chances are some problems and infections such as athlete's foot, foot rot and others may occur to prevent the foot from performing its vital functions. Foot rot, popularly known as Acquah in local parlance, is a common infection which may occur anywhere on the foot, the toe webs and the back of the foot. It is characterized by cracking.
It's an infection caused by a funny organism, is tinea, T-I-N-E-A. There are so many types of tinea species, but generally that organism also can cause, sometimes between your groin, in between your legs, you have infection, and it's not too dissimilar from the sort of organism which will cause ringworm. All these belong to a group of infections we call fungal infections. They are like yeast. And if you know how yeast works, then you understand how this happens.
The fungi respond in dark and moist places, especially inside shoes, locker rooms and showers.
Characteristic thing is that your feet is always in shoes or somewhere moist. So the organism gets some skin, and skin too is rich in small food. Then it starts growing, and then it smells. It's a distressing condition, but it's a very common condition. The good news is that it's easily treatable, in fact extremely easily treatable. But people sometimes don't present for treatment.
Practicing good hygiene, including taking good care of the foot, experts say, is important.
When you have your bath, make sure they are cleaned well. Sometimes you're so much in a hurry, you finish bathing, you haven't finished cleaning, you wear the socks, wear the shoes on your way. And then of course if there's water, moisture, that's all it needs. But I think hygiene should start from a very early age, not just foot rot, all foot problems. Removing your nails, ensuring that the feet are kept clean. You do realize that when you wear shoes which are very tight fitting, or if your shoes are not correct, you can't think. It's important to realize that the foot, like any other part of the body, deserves the same attention as all the vulnerable parts.
It sure pays to give our feet a fresh breath of life at all times.
So hopefully this year our feet will be feeling much better. And again, hopefully, tensions in Central Africa, that's the Central African Republic, will ease as rebel forces say they have halted their offensive on the capital. We have all this and more in the International Brief. So let's move over to the sporting field. In sports today, the senior national team, the Black Stars, would, as part of activities ahead of its departure for AFCON tournament, meet the president in the castle.
The Ghana Football Association has announced activities for the Black Stars ahead of their departure for the 2013 African Cup of Nations. The entire squad, technical and management team will visit President John Dramani Mahama at the Castle Osu today. The team will also visit the Teshi orphanage where they will make a donation of various items to the school to help in the upkeep of the orphans. QPR boss Harry Redknapp says his side's win over Chelsea showed they have what it takes to stay in the Premier League. The Rangers ended a 3-game losing run with Wednesday's shock victory at Stamford Bridge but remained bottom of the table, 5 points from safety. QPR had put up little resistance by the Reds at Loftus Road, conceding 3 goals in the first 30 minutes. but they responded by producing a battling defensive performance to frustrate in-form Chelsea before snatching the points through a late Sean Wright-Phillips winner.
Welcome back from that trip on the sporting field. Let's take a look at what's happening in the world of showbiz. This year seems to have started off pretty good for Ghanaian celebrities. We have Acquah and R&Bs who have made it to the Forbes list. And Juliet Ibrahim has been named as one of the most influential African entertainers of all time.
Like Eminem, or at least follow his legacy, but be shady, no sleep.
This is definitely a good start for the year 2013, as musicians Acquah and R2Bs are already making their names and making Ghana proud once again. Finding their names in Forbes magazine, an internationally recognized magazine, will indeed go to boost their music career, especially this year. The two-time Ghana Music Awards Artist of the Year, Acquah, became the first Ghanaian artist to win a BET award, walking away with the Best International Act Africa category last year. And Ghanaian music duo R2Bs, made up of Faisal Hakim, Payday, and Rashid Mugiz, is behind some of the biggest hits coming out of West Africa. Acquah and R2Bs made it to the Forbes list of top 13 African celebrities to watch in 2013, a post by Zimbabwean TV personality, producer and entrepreneur Farai Gandan on top 13 African celebrities to watch in 2013, which gained credibility with Forbes and got published accordingly. Acquah's third studio album titled Psychology will be out this year, as well as the hip-hop Hip Life Group's highly anticipated single featuring London-born Ghanaian artist Tinchi Strider, which will be out in February this year.
Whether you like it or not, it's yours. Well, say that to the birds and the bees, because I'm not listening.
Juliet Ibrahim has over the years proven to be an industrious woman in her career. It is therefore not surprising if she found her way to the 4th position out of the top 10 most influential female celebrities in Africa in the year ending 2012. A Models View website, they acknowledge positive influence of the feminine and as such recognize the inspiring contribution of female folks in the society who have done the black continent proud in the creative sector through music, movies, fashion, modeling, arts and literature, styling and broadcasting. Among the female celebrities who made Africa proud in the year 2012 is Ghana's Juliet Ibrahim, who is an actress, model, business mogul and philanthropist. She is also the founder of the Juliet Ibrahim Foundation, a foundation which aids kidney and cancer patients in Ghana.
Nothing happened between us. Who do you think you can fool?
Looks like Ghana's going places and making a name for itself on the international scene all over again. Smart, what are you doing about your image internationally?
Oh, quite a number of stuff. I can't share them now, you know. It's supposed to be surprise and attack, you know, like surprise. Yeah.
I think that translates into nothing.
Oh, no, I said surprise. So you just stick around.
Well,
I'll let you know.
People to look out for. Smart.
Oh yeah, like people are already saying R2Bs is the music group to look out for, or the it to look out for in music. Let's see.
Interesting year ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so we take a quick break. We'll be right back on the Midday Brief. Stay with us. You're welcome back. Now, the General Secretary of the People's National Convention, Bernard Mona, has filed a writ at the Supreme Court seeking to nullify the constitutional instrument CI-74. Mona argues that Rule 71B, a portion of Rule 69C5, and a portion of Form 30 of the Supreme Court Amendment Rules 2012, CI-74, do not appear to be consistent with some provisions of the 1992 Constitution. He insists the provisions contravene Articles 133, 157, 93(2) and 11 of the 1992 Constitution, and that the CI must, on the basis of that contravention, be declared null and void. Article 133 of the 1992 Constitution states, quote, "The Supreme Court may review any decision made or given by it on such grounds and subject to such conditions as may be prescribed by rules of court. To the Supreme Court, when reviewing its decisions under this article, shall be constituted by not less than 7 justices of the Supreme Court," unquote. Rule 71B of CI 74 provides that the decision of the Supreme Court in respect of a petition presented to challenge the election of a president cannot be reviewed. Bernard Mona also contends that Rule 69C, Section 5 of the CI 74, which provides that, quote, "The court shall sit from day to day, including public holidays, when hearing a presidential election petition, violates the Public Holidays Act of 2001, Act 601. Well, we are now joined on the line by Dr. Raymond Atuguba. He is counsel for Bernard Mona. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Atuguba, and thanks for joining us on the Midday.
Good afternoon, sir, and thanks for having me.
Okay. First, I want to find out what occasioned Mr. Mona's action.
Well, Articles 3 and 41 of the Constitution, and also Article 2.1 of the Constitution, not only provide that every citizen of Ghana is to defend and protect the Constitution, it also provides that anyone who feels that a law or an action by someone contravenes the Constitution may go to the Supreme Court for a declaration to that effect. So what my client is doing is exercising his constitutional duties and his constitutional rights.
So is it in connection with the suit filed by the NPP challenging the results of the presidential and parliamentary elections?
It's not necessarily connected. Okay. What my client is seeking to do is to clarify the legal framework and the legal infrastructure upon which the presidential election petition may be based. Unless you do that, you would have a muddy legal terrain that can lead to an improper resolution of the matters relating to the presidential challenge that has been mounted. So he's doing a public service to all Ghanaians. Let us clarify the constitutionality of some provisions of CI 74. When we've done that, it will be proper then to mount a challenge based on that constitutional instrument. Otherwise, to take just one example, the Supreme Court can sit on holidays in the course of deciding this petition. After they have finished the resolution of the case and decided that President John Mahama is not president, but Hassan Ayariga is president, someone would go to court and say, well, you know, in doing this, you actually engage in an illegality. You sat on holidays, which is contrary to the Public Holidays Act. And since we can't base a decision on illegality, your decision is illegal. So then we come back to square one. Why don't we clarify issues from the very beginning? Let's find out whether it's constitutional for the court to sit on holidays. If it is, they would continue and sit on holidays. If it's not, they leave out holidays. So that at the end, Ghana is the winner.
But if I can guess correctly, I don't think there are any holidays coming up in January, and I don't think the Supreme Court has also started hearing on the suit filed by the NPP. So really, what are we driving at with Mr. Mona's action?
Your question presupposes that this case is going to be disposed of in January.
No, well, I'm just...
There are many holidays in the year coming up.
Okay, sure.
Holidays, I don't even know whether the African Union holiday is still... You can have a holiday in February, you can have a holiday in March, you can have a holiday in whatever. So it doesn't really... You are in the arena of conjecture, so it's not safe for me to respond.
Okay, so then I take it then, let me rephrase. So then it is just to ensure that as long as challenges of electoral issues are concerned, for instance, the general elections, that your client just wants to ensure that the Supreme Court doesn't sit on a holiday to deliberate on any of the matters. Is that
No,
it?
that's not the only thing my client is complaining about. My client is complaining, for example, that the CI says no decision of the Supreme Court in respect of the presidential election challenge may be reviewed by the Supreme Court. That is also up for challenge. We need to find out whether the decision given by the Supreme Court in this month is final and unreviewable. It is reviewable.
Okay.
If it is unreviewable, and 3 judges in a panel of 5 decide that Ayarga is president, it means that that's it. You can't do any other thing about it. But if it's reviewable, you can then go back to court and ask that the decision be reviewed.
Okay. Okay. So I take it then that you filed the suit already. When is it due?
Yes, I was instructed to file the suit on Monday, and that is exactly what I did.
So has it been called already? Or when is it?
No, please. We haven't yet received any indication from the registrar of the court that the matter is up for hearing. Okay. And we haven't yet received any response from the Attorney General, who is the defendant.
Okay. All right. So I think we'll leave it here then, Dr. Tuguba. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Now let's move to some other stories. President John Dramani Mahama has tasked members of the security forces to always seek the interest of the nation first in order to maintain peace and security in the country. The president was addressing a contingent of security personnel drawn from the police, military, prisons and immigration, among others, when he joined them for a 7-kilometer peace march through some principal streets of the capital to thank God and Ghanaians for a peaceful election.
They are the men and women of the security forces, comprising the military, the police, the prison service, the immigration service, and the customs exercise and preventive service, SEPS. They have a mandate to protect us and the country from any form of attack. Their training is well structured, well coordinated, and enforced with such discipline that there is no room for mistakes. And their march today is evidence of that training. It is thus not surprising the accolade Emerimama, meaning the sons of real men, is accorded them. As early as 5 a.m., these men and women of the security forces converged at the Elwak Stadium in Accra to partake in the 7-kilometer route march through some principal streets of the capital to thank God for a peaceful election. Led by the Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Peter Augustine Blay, members walked from the Elwak Stadium through to Kawukudi, to Nima, the Ring Road, Acquah Interchange and the Flagstaff House amid singing, dancing and Jama tunes. In a rather swift turn of events, the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces and President of the Republic, John Dramani Mahama, joined the marching forces at the Christ the King Church area. Dressed in a sports suit, the President led the march with cheers from the large teeming crowd that had lined up the streets to witness the occasion. The march ended at the Elwak Sports Stadium, where the Chief of Defense Staff and President addressed the gathering.
I want to commend you all on your display of commitment, fitness, courage, enthusiasm, readiness, and discipline this morning. I suppose our joint exercise amidst these demonstrated qualities indicate that our joint might and moral force that is operationally ever ready to cooperate for the internal and external security of our dear motherland, Ghana. Ghana always needs us to sustain the peace and tranquility that prevails. And I dare say that we will always rise up to the occasion.
Let us use this New Year season as a period for sober reflection, renewal, and stock-taking. When we do this sincerely as a nation, as individuals, groups, and institutions, we would be able to correct any shortfalls and redouble our efforts to achieve and maintain national cohesion and excellence.
The president later commended the security forces for their sense of commitment and discipline and asked for unity for peace and security in the country.
Let me take the opportunity to commend you all for your commitment and professionalism in the conduct of your duties while rising up to the challenges which would confront us in this new year. I wish to state in particular, and without any sense of doubt, that the support of the security services to the just ended general election was well planned, well executed throughout the country. I appreciate the beauty of the interagency cooperation and interoperability with graduated and reasonable use of force in internal security situations which came up during this critical period. You lived up to the expectation of a grateful nation, and Ghanaians admire you for the work you did. You have also been applauded by the international community for your discipline and diligence.
Security later gave the president 3 loud salutes.
Well, those bring back some good old memories of my days in the cadet corps in secondary school. We used to go for our early morning route march on weekends. Well, those are good old days, I presume. But that's it for our bulletin this afternoon. My name is Acquah. Many thanks for joining us on the Midday Brief. We are back again at 8 p.m. with our primetime news. Good afternoon.